My beloved child, before you scroll away or let your mind drift for even a second, understand this with every part of your soul. This message is not random, this moment is not accidental, and what you are about to hear has been sent to you because something in your life has been silently unfolding, something you tried to ignore, something you felt deep inside but chose not to face. Because there were times when the signs were clear yet you convinced yourself they were just coincidences. There were moments when your heart whispered, "Stop," but your desires shouted louder. There were nights when you felt uneasy without knowing why, and still you moved forward as if nothing was wrong, as if everything would somehow fix itself without your awareness. But now listen carefully, because the truth is this. Warnings were sent to you, not once, not twice, but again and again, in ways you did not expect, through people, through sudden changes, through strange feelings that you couldn't explain, through doors that closed just when you thought they would open, through delays that frustrated you, through conversations that stayed in your mind longer than they should have. Those were not accidents, those were signals. Those were whispers from a higher place trying to redirect you before it was too late, but you brushed them aside. You called them bad luck, you blamed others, you told yourself, "It's nothing," and in doing so, you walked further into a path that was never meant for you, and yet even now, even after all that, you are still being given a chance, because the mercy surrounding your life has not left you. The protection around you has not been removed, and the presence watching over you has not given up, but this time the message is louder, stronger, impossible to ignore, because what comes next in your life will not be gentle if you continue to resist what you already know deep inside. You see, there is a pattern that has been repeating in your life, a cycle that keeps bringing you back to the same kind of pain, the same kind of confusion, the same kind of disappointment, and you keep asking, "Why does this keep happening to me?" But the answer has already been shown to you. You just didn't want to accept it, because accepting it would require change, and change is uncomfortable. Change forces you to let go of what feels familiar even if it is hurting you. Change demands that you step into the unknown without guarantees, and so you stayed where you were, hoping things would somehow turn different while doing the same things. But now the time for ignoring is over. Now the truth is standing right in front of you, and whether you accept it or not will determine everything that happens next, because what you are experiencing is not punishment, it is redirection. It is not rejection, it is protection, but protection only works when you listen. And listening requires you to quiet the noise around you, the opinions, the distractions, the endless scrolling, the constant need for validation, because the real message has always been within you, speaking softly, patiently, waiting for you to finally pay attention, and ask yourself honestly, how many times did you feel something was wrong but kept going anyway? How many times did you ignore that inner voice because it didn't align with what you wanted? How many times did you chase something that drained you instead of fulfilled you, and still expected a different result? You see, the warnings were never meant to scare you, they were meant to save you, but saving only happens when you cooperate with what is being shown to you. And now you are at a point where the next step you take matters more than ever, because you are standing at a turning point whether you realize it or not. One path leads to repetition of the same struggles, the same regrets, the same pain, and the other path leads to clarity, peace, and a future that aligns with who you are truly meant to be. But that path requires courage. It requires you to let go of what is no longer meant for you, even if it hurts, even if it confuses you, even if it feels like you are losing something important, because sometimes what feels like a loss is actually a rescue. Sometimes what feels like an ending is actually a beginning in disguise, and you won't see it immediately, you won't understand it right away. But in time it will become clear why things had to happen the way they did, but only if you choose to listen now, only if you choose to trust what is being shown to you, only if you stop running from the truth that has been chasing you for so long, because ignoring it will only make it louder, resisting it will only make it stronger, and delaying it will only make the consequences heavier, but embracing it, accepting it, and acting on it will open doors you didn't even know existed. It will bring peace you haven't felt in a long time. It will align you with opportunities that feel right instead of forced, and it will remove the constant confusion that has been clouding your mind. So take this moment seriously, not with fear but with awareness, not with panic but with clarity, because you are not being abandoned, you are being guided, you are not being punished, you are being corrected, and you are not alone in this journey even if it feels like it sometimes. There is something greater at work in your life, something that sees what you cannot see, something that knows where each path leads before you. Even take a step, and it has been trying to guide you all along, but guidance only works when you are willing to follow. So now the question is simple but powerful: will you finally listen? Will you finally trust? Will you finally choose what is right over what is easy? Because the moment you do, everything begins to shift, slowly at first, then all at once. And you will look back at this exact moment and realize that this was the point where everything changed. This was the moment you stopped ignoring and started understanding. This was the moment you chose alignment over confusion, and this was the moment you finally stepped into the life that was waiting for you all along. My beloved child, do not think for a moment that what you are going through right now is just another phase that will pass without meaning, because what you are feeling, the pressure, the confusion, the strange sense that something is shifting around you, all of this is connected to what you ignored before, and now it has returned not to harm you but to wake you up in a way you can no longer avoid, because when the gentle whispers are ignored, the message does not disappear, it transforms, it grows louder, it becomes situations, it becomes delays, it becomes discomfort that forces you to pay attention, and you may have already noticed how things that once felt stable are no longer steady, how people you trusted began to show different sides, how certain opportunities slipped away at the last moment, and how plans you were sure about suddenly collapsed without warning. And you kept asking yourself why everything feels like it is falling apart at once. But what if nothing is falling apart? What if everything is being rearranged in a way that removes what does not belong in your future? What if the very things you are losing are the things that were silently blocking your growth? Because you see, not everything that enters your life is meant to stay, and not everything that feels good in the moment is good for your destiny. And this is where you were tested the most, because you held on to things that were already trying to leave. You tried to fix what was already broken. Beyond repair, you invested your energy into situations that were draining your spirit, and still expected peace in return. But peace cannot exist where alignment is missing, and alignment cannot exist where truth is ignored. So now everything is being brought to the surface, every hidden truth, every suppressed feeling, every doubt you pushed away is now standing in front of you, asking to be acknowledged, asking to be understood. Because this is the only way forward, this is the only way you break the cycle that has been repeating for so long. And yes, it feels uncomfortable, it feels overwhelming, it feels like too much at times, but understand this clearly: growth never feels comfortable when it is real, transformation never feels easy when it is necessary, and the path you are being guided toward requires you to become someone stronger, wiser, more aware than you were before. Which means you cannot carry the same mindset, the same habits, the same attachments into this next phase of your life. Something has to change, and that something is you, not in a way that erases who you are, but in a way that reveals who you were always meant to be, beneath the fear, beneath the doubt, beneath the need to hold on to what was never right for you. And this is where your decision becomes critical, because you have two choices in front of you right now. You can continue to resist, continue to question everything with frustration, continue to chase what keeps slipping away, and remain stuck in the same loop, or you can pause, reflect, and finally accept that there is a higher direction being shown to you, even if you do not fully understand it yet, even if it does not match your original plans, because sometimes the plan you had for yourself is smaller than what is actually waiting for you. Sometimes what you thought you wanted is not what you truly need, and sometimes the delay you are experiencing is actually preparing you for something far greater than you imagined. But preparation requires patience, and patience requires trust, and trust is what you have been struggling with the most. Not just trust in what is guiding you, but trust in yourself, trust in your ability to make the right choice when it matters, trust in your strength to walk away from what no longer serves you, and trust that you will not lose yourself in the process of letting go, because the fear of losing is what kept you stuck for so long. But what you did not realize is that by holding on, you were losing something even more important. You were losing your peace, your clarity, your sense of direction, and now all of that is being returned to you, but only if you are willing to release what is standing in the way, only if you are willing to say, enough is enough, and choose a different path, a path that may feel uncertain at first but will lead you to a place where things finally make sense. Where you no longer feel like you are forcing everything, where you no longer question your worth or your decisions constantly, because when you are aligned, things flow differently, not perfectly, but purposefully, and you begin to notice how the right people enter your life at the right time, how opportunities come without struggle, how your mind feels lighter, and how your heart feels at peace even in uncertain situations. And this is what is waiting for you on the other side of this moment. But you cannot reach it by going backward, you cannot reach it by ignoring what you already know, you cannot reach it by pretending everything is fine when it clearly is not. You can only reach it by stepping forward with awareness, by choosing truth over comfort, by choosing growth over familiarity, and by finally listening to what has been calling you all along, because this is not just another message, this is your turning point. This is the moment where you either continue the cycle or break free from it completely. And deep down, you already know what you need to do. You have known it for a long time, you just needed the courage to act on it. And that courage is being given to you right now, in this very moment. So do not ignore it again, do not silence it again, do not delay it again, because the next step you take will define the direction of everything that follows. And this time, you are not being left to figure it out alone. This time, you are being guided more clearly than ever before. But the guidance will only matter if you choose to follow it. My beloved child, now listen even more carefully, because this is the part you were never meant to ignore again. This is where everything becomes clear if you allow yourself to truly see, because what you once thought were just random events were actually carefully placed moments meant to protect you from something you could not yet understand. And the reason it felt confusing is because you were looking at everything from a place of emotion instead of awareness. You were reacting instead of Observing, you were chasing instead of discerning, and because of that you missed the deeper meaning behind what was happening. But now you are being pulled into a higher level of understanding where things will no longer be hidden from you in the same way, where patterns will start revealing themselves, where the same situations that once confused you will now make perfect sense. And you will begin to realize that nothing in your life has been truly random, not the people you met, not the ones who left, not the opportunities that came and went, not even the delays that frustrated you the most. All of it has been part of a process that was shaping you into someone who can handle what is coming next, because what is coming next requires a version of you that is more aware, more disciplined, more aligned than ever before. And this is why the warnings had to come first. This is why you were shown signs before being given the full responsibility of what is ahead, because without those warnings you would have stepped into the next phase unprepared, carrying the same habits, the same attachments, the same blind spots that would have eventually led to a much greater loss, and that loss would have been far more painful than what you are experiencing now. So understand this clearly. What felt like rejection was actually protection. What felt like delay was actually preparation. And what felt like confusion was actually a test of your awareness, a test to see whether you would keep repeating the same choices or finally rise above them. And now you are at the edge of that decision. You are no longer in the phase of not knowing, you are in the phase of choosing. And this is where your power truly begins, because awareness without action changes nothing. Knowing the truth without living it keeps you stuck, and hearing this message without applying it will only bring you back to the same place again. But this time the consequences will feel heavier because you can no longer say you didn't know, you can no longer pretend you weren't warned, because now you see it, now you feel it, now it is clear to you in a way it never was before, and that clarity is your responsibility. It is your turning point. It is your opportunity to finally break free from everything that has been holding you back. And yes, it will require you to let go of certain people, certain habits, certain ways of thinking that have become comfortable to you, but comfort is what kept you stuck. Comfort is what allowed you to ignore the truth for so long, and now you are being called into something greater than comfort, something that demands growth, discipline, and alignment. And this is where many people turn back because it feels easier to stay where they are. It feels safer to keep repeating what they already know, even if it hurts them. But you are not meant to stay there. You are not meant to live a life where you constantly question yourself, where you constantly feel drained, where you constantly ignore what your inner voice is trying to tell you. You are meant for clarity, you are meant for peace, you are meant for a life where your actions and your purpose are aligned. But alignment requires courage, and courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it. And that is exactly what you are being asked to do right now. To take that step even if you are unsure. To let go even if it feels difficult. To trust even if you do not have all the answers yet, because the answers will come after the step, not before it. The clarity will come after the decision, not before it. And the peace you are searching for will come after you stop resisting what you already know is right for you. So do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait for everything to make sense. Do not wait for someone else to confirm what you already feel inside, because this moment right here is your confirmation. This message right here is your sign, and what you do next will determine everything that follows. Because you are not the same person you were before. You cannot go back to not knowing, you cannot go back to ignoring, you cannot go back to pretending, because something inside you has already shifted, something inside you has already awakened, and once that happens, there is no returning to who you used to be, there is only moving forward into who you are becoming. And that version of you is waiting on the other side of this decision. That version of you is stronger, clearer, more aligned than ever before, but you can only reach it if you choose it, if you act on what you now understand, if you finally listen not just with your ears but with your awareness, because the warnings have already been given, the signs have already been shown, and now the choice is yours, to continue the cycle or to break it once and for all, and deep down, you already know which one you are meant to choose. So do not hesitate any longer, do not look back again. This is your moment, this is your shift, and everything changes from here the moment you decide to truly listen and finally move in the direction you were always meant to go. My beloved child, now this is where everything reaches its most critical point, because after all the signs, after all the warnings, after all the moments where you were gently redirected and even forcefully stopped, there comes a moment where silence follows, not because you are abandoned, but because you are being trusted to act on what you already know, and this silence can feel confusing, it can feel like nothing is happening, it can even make you question whether you were ever being guided at all, but understand this deeply. The silence is not emptiness, it is expectation, it is the space where your decision must take form, because guidance has already done its part, the truth has already been revealed to you piece by piece, and now it is your turn to move without being pushed, to choose without being forced, to act without needing another sign, because if you still wait for more confirmation at this stage, you are not seeking clarity, you are avoiding responsibility, and that is the pattern that must end here and now, because your life cannot change if your choices do not change, your future cannot shift if your actions remain the same, and everything you have experienced up to this point has been preparing you for this exact realization, that you already know enough to move forward, you already feel what is right and what is not. You already see the difference between what drains you and what aligns with you. But knowing is only the beginning, doing is what creates transformation, and this is where most people fail. They wait, they hesitate, they overthink, they go back to what is familiar, and in doing so they miss the very moment that could have changed everything. But you are not meant to miss it this time, you are not meant to go back again. Because going back now will feel heavier than ever before, it will feel more draining, more frustrating, more empty, because once awareness enters your life, ignorance is no longer comfortable. Once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it, and pretending otherwise will only create more inner conflict, more confusion, more distance from the peace you are actually seeking. So the only way forward now is through alignment, through action, through the courage to finally step into what you have been shown repeatedly. And yes, this step may require you to walk alone for a while. It may require you to disappoint others. It may require you to leave behind what once felt like security, but what you must understand is that false security is the greatest trap. It keeps you in places that feel safe but slowly destroy your growth. It keeps you connected to people who limit your potential. It keeps you repeating patterns that no longer serve your future, and breaking free from that will always feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is temporary, regret lasts much longer. And you have already experienced enough of what regret feels like. You have already seen what happens when you ignore your inner voice, when you delay your decisions, when you choose comfort over truth, and now you are being given a chance to choose differently, to act differently, to finally align your actions with what you have been feeling all along, because the moment you do that, everything begins to shift in ways you cannot even predict. Clarity replaces confusion, peace replaces anxiety, direction replaces doubt, and you begin to feel a sense of control over your life that you thought you had lost, not because everything becomes perfect, but because you are no longer fighting against yourself, you are no longer ignoring what you know is right, and that inner alignment changes everything externally as well. It changes how you respond to situations, how you choose people, how you see opportunities, and most importantly, how you see yourself, because you begin to trust yourself again, you begin to respect your own decisions. You begin to move with confidence instead of hesitation, and that is the transformation that has been waiting for you on the other side of all these warnings, all these signs, all these moments that tried to wake you up, and now the final step is yours to take. No more delays, no more excuses, no more waiting for the perfect time, because the perfect time does not come, it is created the moment you decide, the moment you act, the moment you stop looking back and finally move forward with certainty. And understand this clearly, you are not being asked to be perfect, you are being asked to be honest with yourself, to acknowledge what you already know, and to move in alignment with it, even if it is just one small step at a time, because even the smallest step in the right direction will take you further than standing still in doubt, and once you take that step, you will realize something powerful. You will realize that you were never as stuck as you thought, you were never as lost as you believed. You were simply delaying the decision that was always yours to make, and now that delay ends here, in this moment, with this choice, because everything you have been through has led you to this exact point, this exact realization, this exact opportunity to change the direction of your life. And whether you rise into it or turn away from it will define what comes next. But deep down, beyond the fear, beyond the doubt, beyond the hesitation, you already know what you must do, and the moment you act on it, everything begins to transform in ways you once only imagined. Because this is not just another message, this is your confirmation, this is your awakening, and this is the moment your life begins to move in the direction it was always meant to go.